Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mailbox for the 12th of July 2011. My name is Totalbiscuit, bringing you your daily dose of community interaction, gaming discussion, and all that good stuff. You can email in mailbox@cynicalbrit.com, that's mailbox@cynicalbrit.com, with topics for future shows. The game in the background is Team Fortress 2, needless to say. And I'm beginning to realize why some people are choosing to block free-to-players from their servers. Ooh my. Well, whatever the case, I'm extremely rusty. I don't think I've actually played in a year, so don't expect some great stuff from me either. Whatever the case, this one comes in from John Yu, and he says, "Hey TB, you mentioned on many occasions on the Mailbox about how video games shouldn't be movies. This got me to think about games that attempt to make the cinematic experience while still being a game with choice. For this case, I use Heavy Rain as an example. The game is made for one playthrough, but the game, like its predecessor Fahrenheit, can be unforgiving, and killing, injuring, and embarrassing your multiple characters drastically changes the story. My question is it okay for games to incorporate the cinematic experience if the game isn't super linear?" I don't think so, no. I mean, Heavy Rain was an odd one, really, because it was pretty much an interactive movie. It was kind of a choose-your-own-adventure thing, and it was extremely linear for the most part. And I like the fact that certain things that you did actually changed the way that the game went along, and I did get quite engrossed in that, but I don't think a lot of games should be doing that. I think it's okay to do it with Fahrenheit, and it's okay to do it with, let's see, what other kind of games? Well, I mean, I suppose Heavy Rain and maybe Dragon's Lair, but that really is about it. To me, gaming is more about choice as opposed to being shepherded through some kind of cinematic experience that really is sort of choose your own adventure the movie, and I'm not into that. I really don't like that at all. So it's the kind of thing that I think should be reserved only for stuff by David Cage and nobody else. There's not an awful lot of reason to play Heavy Rain again, because of course all of the plot twists are revealed. You can do it just to see what happens, but really, it's the kind of game that can just be watched on YouTube. And I think if you can watch an entire game on YouTube and really lose very little from the experience by not actually playing it, then there's probably something wrong with the game. I think it works the first time around because you don't really know where the failure state is, and it's an interesting example of a game whereby you can fail in certain respects and it will impede you, but it won't stop you from beating the game entirely. I think that's a very interesting part about Heavy Rain. I just don't think it works in most games, honestly. It's hard to explain beyond that. It's something that shouldn't be there. To me, the game is about competing with the game itself in order to actually win, as opposed to being shepherded through a bunch of scenes. Particularly with Heavy Rain, one of the problems was that the acting wasn't all that great, so it was difficult to be immersed. Why try to be a movie if you're not a movie, you know? Heavy Rain is a great-looking game, and it's got some really awesome moments in it, but it fell behind pretty much any movie I can think of. I did not enjoy Heavy Rain as much as I would even an average movie. So why try and do that? Especially considering how expensive it was to make. Why even bother? Make a game, and keep movies as movies. Don't cross the two over, because for the most part, it's failed miserably every time they've tried. This one comes in from Ethan that says, "I play a lot of Battlefield Bad Company 2 and love to snipe, not for the huge amount of points, but the feeling of accomplishment when I kill someone from a great distance. Now, a lot of people, including some of my friends, say that sniping is for noobs and I should stop doing it. I can understand this, since sniping in some games, COD, Medal of Honor, can be really easy. Now, the main point is, should I be doing what I really enjoy in a game when other people would disagree with me for doing so? I'm not ruining the game or cheating, I'm just doing it for fun." The thing is that you could potentially be ruining it. I mean, if you're talking about Bad Company 2, sniping is one of the most useless things you can possibly do. Yes, you can sit up there spotting, and I would hope that you are. I really hope that you are tagging people while you're shooting. But the thing about recons is that if you play a recon, you really should be playing it further forward. You should not be sitting on a ridge sniping. It is absolutely useless. Incredibly stupid thing to do. It's a waste of your potential. You have something called motion mines. Motion mines are amazing. Motion mines can win the game. You should be using them. You can't use them if you are too far away. Therein lies the problem. You have C4. You're supposed to be blowing up tanks with it. If you're not doing that, then what's the point? That's my attitude to it anyway. There are some disagreements, but there's a really good video on how not to be a noob, which is by Pixel Enemy. I'll put a link to it on the description below this video. It's a difficult thing to argue, to say that, hey, I'm just going to snipe and I'll be useful. The chances are you won't. I mean, just killing a target in Bad Company 2 isn't really a big deal. It's way easy to just revive that target. By the time you're just sighting another target, someone's just run up and revived the guy that you just shot. Ergo, what you've done is absolutely useless because they've got the tickets back. What can you do to allow your team to win? Bad Company 2 is an objective-based game, and it's based around ticket drain. It's not based around raw kills. Raw kills actually don't mean anything in the long run. Yes, you can remove tickets, but if you're not able to stop their medics or you're not able to take the objectives, then you simply cannot win the game. So being a sniper is the most useless thing you can be in that game. I mean, for God's sake, why aren't you in a tank? I mean, if you're hanging around nearby your base because you happen to have a big long-range rifle, why aren't you in that tank that just spawned? Why aren't you in the helicopter? Why aren't you just doing something with that APC, picking up some guys, ferrying them to the front line? And again, what are you doing with your motion mines in your C4? If you're not doing anything with either of them, that's a problem. It's not the worst thing in the world, but at the end of the day, your friends are telling you to stop being a noob, and they're actually onto something. They're doing it because they know that sniping in Bad Company 2 is a waste of time, for the most part, and that you could be doing something much more useful, and you can still keep your sniper rifle. You don't have to trade it in for a shotty or the VSS if you don't want to, or hell, even a Garand or whatever. You don't have to do that. You can still use the rifle. There's plenty of opportunities to be a forward recon. And using the motion mines will allow you to clear out an area, help out your team, secure an objective, and also secure yourself a really sweet spot to snipe from to cover the guys as they push forward. So that is something to consider once again. But the point that they're making is you can be better, and it is a team game. It's not just all about you. This is the same reason why you can't pick some stupid-ass spec in World of Warcraft if you want to go into a raiding environment. You say, oh, well, it's my choice. I pay my $15 a month. Doesn't matter, because the other 24 people pay more than $15 a month together. So their money outweighs yours. The same with pugging in WoW. The same with League of Legends, Heroes of New Earth, Dota. A lot of the rage from that comes from people that say, oh, I want to do something ridiculous. Like, well, you don't get to do that because you are playing a team game. If you want to do something ridiculous, go and play a game that is not so team-based. Go and play Call of Duty. If you want to run around with, say, like I do, if I want to run around with Akimbo Scorpions, or I want to be an idiot with pistols or whatever, that is okay, because to be fair, Call of Duty is barely a team game. The fact that it has team deathmatch, to me, is only indicative of the fact that the mode means that I can't shoot everybody. Someone might get in the way of a bullet intended for me, and I get less kills than I would in FFA. That's what team deathmatch is in Call of Duty. There's very little actual team play involved. There's very little objective play involved, even on domination, things like that. So think about how you can add value to the team. Recon was my primary class in Bad Company 2, and for the most part, I would either use a VSS, and I would go forward with it, or a shotty, or I would take maybe an M24, or even an M95 if I was feeling sassy, and I would still go forward with it, and I'd be blowing up tanks with C4, and I'd be using motion mines all the frickin' time, because motion mines are incredible. And even if you are looking down scopes, at least be spotting enemies so that you can be useful, because your mad skills and your mad kills aren't actually helping the team at all. This one comes in from Daniel that says, I'd like to know your opinion on the OnLive gaming on demand service. I've heard about it in the past and thought it could be the future of gaming in general, as playing recent AAA games without the need for a high-end PC or even console for just $10 a month is a pretty good deal. For the most part, I tend to wait until recent games are at a more reasonable price before purchasing them, and by that time, most of the hype and multiplayer community have shrunk. With OnLive, I could just rent or pay a small monthly fee, and I don't even have to worry about the specs of my PC. Why don't I hear more about this service in the gaming community? Is it bad or non-existent publicity? Or is there something wrong with the service? General thoughts on the matter are appreciated as well. There's a couple of problems with OnLive. Now, firstly, I do agree wholeheartedly with the idea that, yes, it is really helpful if you can't afford a high-spec gaming PC. That is cool. It's actually really awesome that someone is providing a service that bypasses the main barrier to entry for PC gamers, which is the fact that getting a decent gaming PC is more expensive than any console would be. However, there are issues with it. One is, of course, latency. for AAA games, particularly first-person shooters, you simply cannot play with the delay that would be caused by having OnLive lag. And it can happen. OnLive has a good delivery system, but you have to be really close to the server in the data center for it to actually work out. And there are many places in the US that are not properly covered by OnLive. Secondly, when it comes to the US and the UK, which seem to be the two primary markets, if I recall correctly, BT is sorting out OnLive over here, and of course it's available in the US, our internet connections suck. That's the problem. We can't stream in HD most of the time. The average internet connection speed, I think, over here is something like 2 meg. In fact, it might even be lower than that. That's really bad. A service like this in Sweden would be absolutely fantastic. I have no idea why OnLive is not running in Sweden. If it is, I'll be very surprised, because I did look around, like, is it available? No, it is not. All of OnLive is basically running in the US at the moment. There's another problem with OnLive that's pretty severe, and that's the purchase system. For instance, I can go to onlive.com right now and I can have a look at a few things, and I was looking at Fear, for instance, Fear 3, and I clicked on Fear 3 and I was like, right, okay, so how much does this cost? Like, it says $5.99 plus. What does that mean? Well, you can rent the game for 3 days for $5.99, 5 days for $8.99, or buy the full game for $50. So the same cost as it would be on Steam. Unfortunately, you don't actually own the game. It exists on OnLive servers only. Why would anybody buy that? I cannot figure that one out. That's absurd. The idea that I buy a game that I can't actually download or play, maybe if there's something wrong with my internet connection, I have to be connected to the internet 100% of the time, needless to say, to use this service. That's pretty ridiculous. They do have a game pack thing, which is 60 titles for $9.99 a month or something along those lines, but I do not believe that includes all of the latest and greatest. It's got things like Borderlands. Is it even the Game of the Year edition? It doesn't appear to be, so it doesn't look like it's got any of the DLC. Deus Ex, right, nice, okay. Why would you want Deus Ex on OnLive? That thing will run on a netbook now. Fear 2, Homefront, Lego Batman, the awful Prince of Persia, and these are the featured games. I mean, the others, there's a bunch of indie stuff. Alien vs. Predator Classic 2000, Battle for Los Angeles, Blood Rain 2. This is not a good selection. AC-130 gunship? Really now? Elizabeth Find, MD, Diagnosis Mystery. No. No, no, no. This is the problem with OnLive. It's got a bad selection of games, and the ones that you actually want to play, you have to pay full price for something that you don't own and is sitting on someone's computer 1,000 miles away. It's not an attractive prospect at all. It's a good idea, but their implementation is lousy, and it's not going to be there for a while. I mean, they've got some great tech, don't get me wrong. The problem is I just don't see its current system and its current implementation and its business model working. I have no idea how well it's working right now. I imagine not very. I can't really see any reason to go for it. I mean, in the UK, for instance, there's very little reason to go for it because we have a service that's better called Metaboli, and Metaboli is pretty awesome. It is a I wouldn't say a rental service per se, but you pay a subscription and then you get access to pretty much everything that's there. I mean, if I were to get the pack on Metaboli, for instance, let's see, which one is it? There's the Gamers pack or whatever it was. £12.95 a month. Now, that's kind of a lot of money, but then you have a look at what games are available. The Witcher 2 is on Metaboli. That's a huge deal. I mean, you pay £12.95, you can play The Witcher 2. If you beat that in a month, you've just saved money right there. That is good. That is a good start right there. And there are plenty of other really solid titles. So, to me, it seems like something like Metaboli is a better idea, and that at least allows you to download the game and play it on whatever machine, and you're not relying on an internet connection or anything like that. So, I like the idea of OnLive, I just don't like how it currently functions. So, I'm hoping they'll rejig the service and make it a little bit less ridiculous, but right now it's just not going to work out for anyone, really. Gamers are not going to use Metaboli, and as far as I'm concerned, casual gamers aren't either, and the rationale behind that is a casual gamer is not going to spend $60 on a game that they can't download to their machine. That's an absurd idea. It's a lot of money to spend, and that kind of service really should be saving you money as opposed to making you pay more for less. Okay, folks, that's me done for the day. Thank you very much for watching the Mailbox. You can email in mailbox@cynicalbrit.com with topics for future shows. I'll see you next time.